Alright YouTube, so we are back, of course, to talk about some Final Fantasy VII Remake. And what we have today is something potentially big, and it's an update to Final Fantasy VII Remake and PC. This is something people have been wondering about and waiting on for, for the past year plus. People have been wondering when this game's coming to PC. Plus, at some point, I don't remember when, we got gameplay at E3 or some gaming event or some shit, and it said, game captured on a PC or something like that, so we know that there's, a PC version of this game that exists somewhere. So this is pretty much a guarantee. This game's coming to PC at some point. I'm still holding out and hopeful that it'll hit the Xbox platform at some point, and it could be a couple years down the road. We've seen that with, the Zodiac Age for Final Fantasy XII. That was on PS4 for a couple of years before it came to Xbox. Same thing with, I think, World of Final Fantasy and some other games out there. They eventually come to Xbox, even if it takes years, so I'm still hopeful for that. Anyway, so the update that we have for Remake on PC is that, hackers, leakers, data miners, I don't know what this shit is. We're looking at the back-end data for the Epic Game Store, and there's two things that popped up. One of them is the Alan Wake, remaster potentially coming to Epic Game Store, but of course the other one is Final Fantasy VII Remake. So both these people provide links to, the data itself, and then, an Imgur image of where it says the names of these games. The thing is, though, if you actually click to where you go look at the data, the names have been changed. It used to say, you'd actually be able to read Final Fantasy VII Remake, and now it just has the codename. It just has the codename Pineapple. For some reason, that's the codename for Remake. And that makes me wonder if they're not already aware about how public this is, because there's articles going back, as I'm recording right now, which is about noon my time. There's articles that are 5 or 6 hours old. So this has been known for kind of a while now. So I wonder if they didn't retroactively go back in there and change the name of shit, despite it not mattering at this point. By the way, I'm obviously not showing anything on screen, and that's because, for one, it's a leak. When it comes to leaks for games and shit, images, gameplay, things like that, you just can't show it. And I know this is just data for the Epic Game Store, but I got in trouble with Square Enix before for showing stuff from the PlayStation Store. Whenever there's the demo being uploaded and shit to the PlayStation Store, we covered that a lot last year. And eventually, some of my videos got flagged. I'd just rather not risk it. So now, moving past the info that we have, the discussion out there right now is when this comes to PC, when this comes to the Epic Game Store, will it be an exclusive? And that's definitely a possibility. We see that already. They just love their exclusivity when it comes to Remake. We had a year of exclusivity. It ends. The game comes out on PS5. Boom. Another 6 months minimum of exclusivity for the PS5 integrated version of Remake. So it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, and obviously Epic has that kind of money. They can pay Square Enix for some sort of timed or permanent exclusivity for PC on the Epic Games launcher and shit. They could do that if they wanted to. And of course, Final Fantasy VII Remake ended up using Unreal Engine 4, which is also an Epic Games thing. And if we look back at one of their last big releases in 2019, Kingdom Hearts 3, also using Unreal Engine 4, is exclusive to the Epic Game Stores. So with that in mind, I think there's a pretty damn good chance that this would also be exclusive to the Epic Game Store. Something I'm kind of curious about that I don't know if has been answered yet, the data, when you look at it, just said Final Fantasy VII Remake. So are we talking about base game remake? Are we talking about integrate/intermission remake? I don't know what version this is supposed to be. If it's integrate intermission, dude, I'm all for this. Any kind of PC version. I know people don't like Epic Game Store, don't like the Epic Launcher, whatever, but this gives a lot of people access to this game if they couldn't get a PS5. Me right now, can't get a PS5, but I could play it on PC. That'd be kind of nice. I am not a PC gamer. I barely use this shit. I mostly game on console, but I would find a way. I would learn to play on PC. And the thing is, even though we're looking at, Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Epic Game Store back in data, that doesn't mean it's coming anytime soon. Again, for one, the exclusivity for at least Integrate is going all the way till at least December, if not further than that. So it could be a while before we ever see this game on PC, unless, of course, it's talking about base game remake, where the exclusivity ended in April. Anyways, my dudes, that's the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to update with more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter, dashingdavidYT, and my Discord. Links to most social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like low gain or leave it like Cobain.